Dutch Sign 1 to Arlington, 2nd EMS calling to District Station 5 area. 3273, 3287, respond priority 2 for...
So then, September 26th, I had got up that morning real early, and I was praying and doing a little Bible study, and then I'd been reading in this book. It was about the end time rewards, Bema seat, and really got to digging in it that morning, and I was just like, Lord, this is what I want. I don't care about anything else. This is what I really want. I love my family and everything else, but you are most important. If I had one desire in my entire life, it would be that when I see you face to face someday, I could hear, "Well done, good and faithful servant." So I was just kind of praying and just reading, and just I was actually pounding on the pages, it's like this, I want this, and finally I just kind of heard him speaking to me, it's like, how far are you willing to go? How much are you willing to give up? Like Peter, I immediately stuck my foot in my mouth, and I'm just like, oh, everything, just go for it, I just give you everything, anything. I think the words were no sooner out of my mouth, and I started having, the second thoughts, and it's like, not this, not that, and just making all these conditions that, I was going to give him absolutely everything except this and this and this, and then I just realized, kind of what I was doing, and it really struggled with it, and I finally just, no matter what, no matter what it cost me, and I just was hoping it was not my family, that if somebody was going to have to suffer some pain or something, it would be me, but, whatever came, I knew that God was going to work it out for the best, and, I was just going to have to trust Him, and that's been one of my big issues all my life, I think, is just really 100% trusting Him. Anyhow, so went to the doctor later that morning, came home and had lunch and sat down at my computer. After a little bit, I could smell some smoke, and we'd been having all that smoke come in from Sisters, so I didn't really think too much of it at first, and then all of a sudden the smell of it just changed, kind of like from that old smoke to, like there's a fire burning. Kind of half stood up and just peeked out the doors, and there's just this wall of flame coming across the fields towards our house. One of my adult daughters, she says, "Mom, everybody's honking out on the road and stuff." And I said, "Yeah, there's a fire." And about that time, my husband came running up and pounding on the door, and so we were outside just rushing around doing whatever you do when there's a fire rushing down on your house, and just to see that wall of flame coming down on us, that was pretty scary. So we were just kind of running around doing all this stuff, and the fire trucks were arriving and going just past our driveway and out into the fields, just beyond our yards, and they were starting to fight the fire out there, and then they decided they had to get some fire trucks into our yard just right on the other side of my house that I was in. At that point, there was sparks just coming from all the the fire, and they were afraid the trees were going to torch and that it was just going to take out everything. There was one fire truck had come in and gone around back behind the barn. They were wanting to put a fire truck in right beside my house. There's a big gate there that goes into the pasture, and we had fence posts and everything thrown in front of it, so we were out there throwing fence posts. I already have a heart murmur and some other problems, so I was kind of already getting short of breath, and the smoke was getting really, really bad. At some point, we cleared that gate, and we were waiting for that fire truck to come, and I told my husband, I said, I'm going to go check on the goats and make sure that, they can still breathe. I cut over in front of our house and run down in between the house and the barn back to where the goats were, and they were okay. The smoke was going this way and that way. About that time, I heard the other fire truck come in, and I could hear them talking on their radios. They weren't sure where to go, and so they pulled in there, and I could hear them talking that they weren't sure they had the right place, and so they were going to back out and go on beyond. And so I yelled at my husband, I've got to go catch the fire truck and stop them before they leave. And I turned and I just started to run across our front yard, and between, I couldn't tell what was smoke and what was just my vision going or whatever. I knew I was running out of oxygen real fast, but I figured I could still pour it on and catch the fire truck before they left, and I guess I got about halfway across the yard, and this is weird, but all of a sudden I was not in my body anymore. I was like 20 feet above, looking down. I could see this woman, take a few more steps, kind of going like a drunk, and then just somersault, and then just plow face first into the dirt and the rocks. And I am just like, whoa, that had to hurt, because it was hard, And I kept looking, and the shirt seemed familiar. And I just kept looking, and I'm like, well, that's my shirt. And I'm like, that's me. And I was trying to figure out how I could be up here and down there at the same time, watching myself. And anyhow, that was me. I took that header and then just plowed face first into the dirt. I kind of broke my front teeth, put my front teeth through my lip, and just ended up in the dirt there, laying there. My adult daughter, she had last seen me. She wasn't sure. She said somewhere probably between 4 and 7 minutes. She said she just happened to glance over, and she saw my clothes, and so she ran over there, and she said I was already purple. She ran screaming back behind the house to try and get one of the firemen, and he said he come just running as hard and fast as he could go, and immediately started doing CPR on me. I had gone into cardiac arrest. My husband was rushing around all these different fire trucks. They couldn't find what do you call it, defibrillator. They didn't have one on board any of the trucks at all. They said I had no pulse for 20 minutes. When they finally did get me going again, where I had a heartbeat, then I would just re-arrest again. And I arrested 4 times there in the yard. So they ended up heading down the road towards Pioneer with me, and the fire chief stayed to tell my family that I was not going to make it, that there's only like a 5% chance at best of surviving a cardiac arrest, and I had just had 4. He said I was trying to not be Debbie Downer, but it was, you were not going to make it. They took me into Pioneer. I arrested again, and the same young fireman brought me around again, and after he got a pulse, and I arrested another time, so six times. They got the family together and told them just get everybody together to say goodbye, because this is it. And they did get me on life flight and sent me over to St. Charles. And at some point around then, my adult daughter, she said, "Call Pastor Rory." And that's when I guess you guys all got the word down here and started praying. So they were getting ready to put me in this cold room to keeps your organs from dying or something. They were just getting ready to bring the thing in and hold me down there, and I just woke up. And then the doctor come running in, and he looked at me, and he said, "This is amazing." He says, "This is a miracle." At that point, I had no pain or anything still, and hadn't tried to really breathe yet. And I'm looking around. Obviously, I'm in a hospital. I thought I was about ready to get up and go home, and the doctor says, "Well, you've just had 6 cardiac arrests." So I was only just awake for a little bit, and they put me back. They put me out at that point. And then the next thing I remember is I woke up, and Rory was holding my hand. I just knew I had, I guess you'd call it a dream, something. And I just knew I had to tell Rory. At that point, I guess I wasn't 100% certain I was gonna make it, and I wanted to be sure to tell this to Rory while I was out, between the first time I woke up and the second time when I woke up with him there. What I saw was just a almost black sky, just a really, really dark navy blue with just billions and billions of little stars out there. And I was just kind of, like looking around. I saw 5, maybe 6 demons off in front of me and slightly to my right. I mean, I don't know how I could tell they were demons, but I knew they were demons. I mean, there was just absolutely